Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for logging on to CBSDenver.com and CBS News Colorado. It is time for a few more minutes as we continue our conversation with our Xfinity Monday Live guest, Mike Lansing, joining us tonight. Mike, we ended the show talking about the Raiders and the Broncos. You're a diehard Raider fan. So let me ask you this. How do you see the AFC West playing out? Because it has been an absolutely wild offseason for every team in the division.
I guess the way I look at it is I go, it's wide open because all four of the teams, the Chiefs actually subtracted some stuff.
Yeah.
And the Chargers add, the Raiders add, the Broncos add. I think it's going to be the best division in football, but the problem is they're all going to beat each other up at some point because they got to play each other twice. So for me personally, yes, okay, the Broncos finally get their quarterback and Russell. Hey, great. But I was happy that we got Devontae Adams, and we already have a good running back. We've got, a Derek Carr. People badmouth him, he makes mistakes, but I like him. And then they got a guy on the edge that can rush on the other side of Max Crosby. So for me, it was more of, all right, well, we didn't just stay stagnant. The Raiders. And
it's okay. You're a homer. You can be a homer. It's all good.
It just makes. I think it just makes the division more competitive and more exciting. And I went down to last year, that last game, and the Raiders and the Chargers. Like, all right, one of you wins, you're in. If they tie, they're both in. So they're all going to be there. I think. I don't think anybody's going to waver. I think all the teams kind of caught up to the Chiefs maybe because of their subtractions, but until you beat them and dethrone them, you're not doing anything. Yeah, you're preaching. You got to beat the best to be the best.
I was going to say, you're preaching to the choir. Broncos country knows all about trying to beat the Chiefs in order to overtake them. Let's talk about baseball real quick. What are realistic expectations for this Rockies team heading into 2022?
That's a hard one. I was in Vegas last week and watching the basketball games, and you can see up the numbers of what they're going to win. And I know once they got Chris, some other things, they still are not picked to even be 500 because their division's tough. And if you got to play these teams 19 times and you're playing the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants, who surprised everybody last year, I go, hey, you can get some wins against the Diamondbacks because they're young and they're doing all their things. But I go expectations. I go, hey, if they can get to 500, I think that's a win. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I go, well, look where you've been the last 5 years. So I think expectations are like, hey, let's strive to be 500. No, we want to be competitive and be better and surprise some people, but you got to look yourself in the mirror and go, well, do we have what we need to compete against these other teams? Yeah, that's going to be a really, really big question. I think the answer actually is, unfortunately, no, and hopefully the Rockies surprise everybody, including the two of us. Hey, we talked about Chris Bryant during the show. I want to ask you about Ryan McMahon, because Ryan McMahon is a guy that you got to see when he was coming up through the minor league system, and you told me you kind of had the feeling right away that this guy was going to be something special, and the Rockies feel that way too, as is the case when they rewarded him with a big deal this offseason. And I think it's a great move. Whatever his status is as far as service time, where he is in arbitration, all those things. If you can lock him down and he's good with that. Like I saw him for a year and a half in AAA when I was coaching with the Diamondbacks, and he was in Albuquerque. And he would move around. He'd play third, he'd play first, he'd play second. I mean, he could do a lot of things. But I was more impressed by his hitting, and not just because he's got some power, but he can do everything he needs to, and he's got power. He can hit to the opposite field. He will take pitches. I mean, however that translates, it's translated good for him. And I always thought, hey, that's the whole thing in the minor leagues. You try to evaluate these kids, project what they can do, and go, you never know, but my eyes are still my best judge, and I've been there and I've done it and I've watched and I go, this kid can play. So I'm happy for him, and I think it was a good move for them.
Yeah, I think Rockies fans looking forward to watching him as he progresses.
Yeah.
Only 27 years old, which is really crazy when you think about it. He's been a Rocky for 1/3 of his life. They drafted him at age 18 coming out of high school, and now rewarded him with a nice payday, and hopefully that will pay off this season. Mike, we got to run. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. Always enjoy the visit. We'll have you on again soon talking Rockies baseball.
All right. Thank you very much. I enjoy it.
Hey, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for logging on to CBS News Colorado and CBSDenver.com.